report on just one meeting this week. I attended a lot, but I just wanted to spend my time talking about the ad hoc meeting for the 4th of July incident. We did meet last week. We heard from each entity with regard to what they would like to see moving forward and how we were going to combat the complete chaos that the 4th of July and illegal fireworks have brought to our town. The Crescent City Police Department indicated that it wasn't nearly as chaotic on Howe Drive as it was on South Beach, but the presence of illegal fireworks were prevalent throughout Crescent City as well as the county. The mayor, Mr. Inscore, expressed that he had some concerns that he was not more aggressive with his stance on illegal fireworks for the years leading up to this, that he wishes he would have done more. The harbor talked about their infrastructure and the damage that has been done to their infrastructure, the asphalt, as well as just some real significant concerns that they have with regard to protecting that infrastructure, their boats and whatnot, and how it could have turned disastrous had one of the illegal fireworks landed in one of those boats and caught it on fire. The harbor is seriously considering an all-out ban of legal and illegal fireworks because of the damage that it is causing. The fire chief from Crescent Fire said that his previous employment was down in the Southern California, and that an all-out ban is actually better, in his opinion, because it's easier to enforce. I don't think the group was completely there yet with regard to making that proposal, but it was something discussed. There was discussions regarding ordinances and how we can all three be on the same page. And so all of our county councils are all working together. I guess they're not called county councils, but all the attorneys are working together to have a consistent message. And I really do believe that's very important too. Any ordinances obviously will be brought back to the individual boards for approval from the boards. We did all just agree, and I think it's worth noting that all the fireworks that are being trucked in here in U-Hauls and set up days before, they're already illegal. And so enforcement is really the direction that we need to go. We did talk about jurisdictional issues. Given places like South Beach, which is really a patchwork of landowners. There are, some is owned by the state, some is private, some is CDFWs, some is county. So we really kind of needed to understand that land and who is owning it so that we know who is actually responsible jurisdictionally. The sheriff has already reached out to various state agencies and asked for assistance with next year's enforcement. That would include CHP, CAL FIRE, state parks, that sort of thing, in order to be able to have the enforcement that's necessary. A subcommittee was formed to begin discussing a media campaign, basically just to do the education to the public. While it's clear illegal fireworks are illegal, however, it's nice to have a reminder as you're driving into Del Norte County, either through billboards or road signs, the electronic road signs, that remind people what the penalty is if you are in possession of illegal fireworks. We even discussed talking with the chamber to help with that media campaign outside of even the 4th of July activities, even get into the markets that are very hot, like Redding and Eugene and that sort of thing, because I do believe we get a lot of visitors from those areas. And so what that would look like for her to help us get that messaging out, like she did when we had the pandemic and like she did with the last chance grade closures. And we agreed that enforcing the no camping along South Beach will alleviate a lot of the compounded issues that we have, that are the days leading up to it, the drinking that is excessive, and those types of things. They go in there and they build these huge areas. They carve out the sand so that the illegal fireworks can be let off from there. So if we could alleviate some of that, that will help with the problem. we're going to be meeting again next week and start rolling out some of the plans and get them confirmed. And so it's possible that this board, along with the other boards, again, in addition to approving an ordinance if that is necessary, but we will need to write letters to the state requesting additional law enforcement and firefighters, as it is their jurisdiction, and we do not have sufficient resources as it stands right now. That is my report.
Supervisor Howard, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the past, I've discussed as a member of tri-agency the issues that we were working on in relation to redundancy in power here post fire in August and September last year. Some of those conversations resulted in a study being conducted by Bonneville Power Administration, Pacific Power, and Coos Curry Electric to try to join an old line system that we had back in the 60s before the Coos Curry Electric system was formed and that line was severed. The study has been completed and has been completed now for 3 months, but in conversations with PAC Power, they have been reluctant to release the study, and my hope is once we have a chance to follow up with some of their executive staff, we could figure out what that reluctancy may be. But this has been leading into discussion also running in a parallel path on potentially microgridding some of our critical infrastructure here in Del Norte County, specifically around the Washington Boulevard area. I've been in conversations with a group called SiteLogic that is the leader in the nation in developing microgrids for the area, and especially here in California. And we sat down with them last week, the city, the county, Sutter Coast Hospital, and the school district as potential players where this first launch at a microgrid might be. And it was interesting to learn, based on power studies that they had conducted pro bono, kind of where we're all at. Surprised to see the power usage at Sutter Coast being as high as it was, but in essence, given that they do not have the redundancy that they need in the current times, both the school district and Sutter are already aggressively pursuing redundancy in their systems. The county and the city are a little further behind than I had hoped to be, but at this point, it's good to catch up and be on board. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd request potentially for a meeting at the end of September, potentially at our meeting on the 24th, that we invite SiteLogic to give the same data set to our Board of Supervisors to see and learn what I've learned to date as a way in extending this conversation to see if there would be a willingness in the future to pursue microgrids. In a tour I took the following day to Humboldt County to see the Arcade Airport microgrid that was completed in 2002 and been up and running for 3 years now, and then also the McKinleyville Wastewater Treatment Facility, CSD, which has been up and running for quite a while now too, and what it's cost and took. But we'll save those conversations for a later date during that presentation, where I'll also invite those CSD directors to our presentation. Also tomorrow, of interest, being hosted by CSAC, there'll be a televised presentation from Ricardo Lara, our insurance commissioner, for this fire discussion that we've been having now for well over a year. There'll be some new information presented. If you haven't received that email yet and like to go, I could push that to you so you could register for that. In addition, attended some of the budget hearings taking place, and also a Natural Resources Goals Committee meeting. And lastly, I'm also going to request for some time in October a meeting with Brianna Sullivan and her team from the North Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board to present to our board about the waste discharge permit order that is being developed right now for lily bulbs. I think it would be good for us to learn about the processes taking place with that waste discharge order development to see if the board would want to have any input into that process. And that's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Short.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the last meeting, I attended the Pelican Bay Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, and happy to report after hearing quite a few concerns from the community about Pelican Bay State Prison. Their population is up to 2,251 as of the the day of the meeting. It's quite a bit better than where it had been in the past, down at around 1,400. Back when I started there in the mid-90s, it was up around 3,300, but we were just stuffed full at that point. So 2,251 is great news to me. Had a discussion with the warden and the chief there about their minimum security facility. They've opened it back up. There's 192 inmates being housed there now. Still, legislation that really hasn't changed as far as criminal justice goes. So very, very few of those inmates are qualified to work off reservation. I was hoping to have a conversation about at least filling our firehouse and possibly getting a work crew going, but there's so incredibly few inmates that can be classified such as to, they call it ORWD, off reservation work detail. There's very, very few of those inmates. So while we will hope that more will show up so we can have a decent conversation in that regard, we'll keep an eye out for more of those inmates. I attended with Mr. Chairman, attended our Economic Development Technical Advisory Committee meeting. Of course, you guys know we will be working on a feasibility report for a economic advisor position here in the county. We hope to have that report to you by the end of November, approximately. So we'll be working on that. Also attended the fireworks meeting that Supervisor Starkey spoke of, so I won't belabor that anymore. And I just wanted to thank the department heads who participated in budget discussions that we had. I know we still have a few more to do tomorrow, but I want to just thank those department heads for participating in those. I know it was valuable for me. I learned quite a bit about how our county works. So with that, that is my report.
Supervisor Borges. Myself attended the committee meeting for economic development. In regards to that, I've had meetings with various local NGOs as well as Chamber, Elk Valley Rancheria, as well as with the school supervisor, Harris, on various issues on whether or not they would be willing to engage in the process that is necessary. Without those components, any economic development is absolutely inconsequential. Without our schools getting involved, without our colleges getting involved, we cannot have workforce development. Without our city and county looking towards housing and the needs that come along with economic development and having jobs, you have to have people that have reasonable housing that can accommodate and be available for them. There is a lot of housing development being done currently within the city as well as in the county. And so we look forward to addressing some of these issues as we go forward, as well as where we'll be looking at some of the issues as to what are the job needs, where are the jobs available, what are the skill sets that are required, and how can we better train our high school and college so that they meet the needs of what is being offered here locally, and how do we better coordinate those things so hopefully we can develop a program where from the moment, if you're halfway through your senior year, hopefully you will have a workforce plan already developed for you. You'll be training, whether it's nursing, whether it's government, whether it's forestry, whether it's ag, whether it's fishing, that you'll have a path that'll be laid out for you, and we will help develop those skills necessary for you to be successful in whatever your chosen work path or career path can be, so that hopefully when you graduate, you already have a job option for you to go into. And so as we look at what are the needs and how do we better address those and identify those, that's part of what we'll be looking at in economic development. And we are reaching out to looking how can we best meet those goals and needs, whether that is in-house or whether that is contracting with providers outside of us, and also looking at where it is being done very successfully. Humboldt has a very successful economic development. Mendocino County is working on theirs. as well as a Sonoma-Mendocino joint committee on economic development that is very successful. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we can look at where it is being done well, where it is being done successful, and how we can emulate what is being done here for Del Norte County. And so with that, we will go into our closed consent